welcome to Spark TV. I'm so excited to have you
Hey,
here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And I have been watching your amazing stories at the moment because you are an applicant in the Spark Grant program, which I'm
I am
super excited
indeed.
about. You have
Yeah.
done so well, rallying your community to
Oh,
vote for you. I'm so impressed.
thank you. Yeah, we've got a small community, but she is mighty.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
totally.
I've been just overwhelmed with how beautiful they've been. They've really got behind it.
So
Yeah,
good.
it's amazing.
No, you should be very proud. Um,
Thank you.
so let's tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Okay, my name's Lucy, and I'm an owner founder of IOTA Aesthetics. So I run a small business which focuses on permanent tattooing or cosmetic tattooing, um, and mainly do nano brows. So I do a little bit of lip blushing, those kind of things, but mainly working on a technique called nano brows, which is it's a type of cosmetic tattooing which looks really, really realistic. You can't really tell that you don't have your eyebrows there. It looks really real.
Oh, that's so cool. That was my first question. I was like, what is nano overlay
Yes.
before we even get
Yeah.
started?
I know it's a crazy little technique, and so many people haven't heard of it. But yeah, it's exactly the same as your regular tattooing. That you'd see like your traditional tattooing, but we use slightly different cartridges, so a much finer needle, and we use different pigments, so they're not going to be that big bold black color that you'd be used to seeing. So we use a pigment that fades off over time, so you get a more natural look.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool. That's awesome.
yeah.
And now I'm just hyper curious now. So when you do it, do you
Yeah.
still have hair or does the hair, what happens? Is it like in between, like almost fill out the spots?
Yeah,
How does it
so
work?
I work with a huge range of clients. So some will be completely hairless, and so we're recreating it from scratch.
Yeah.
So you're just putting the pigment into the skin, and then other people will have hair, and you're filling in between. So you kind of, because you're drawing on the skin underneath the hair,
Mhm.
you're almost creating a brow underneath, and you can see it through the brow hairs.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
Oh, it's long story short, one of my friends was going through chemo, and it was really awful watching her
Mm,
kind of self-confidence just plummet.
yeah.
And she was searching, one thing she was really paranoid about was the hair loss. And she
Mm,
searched high and low all over Adelaide. I'm Adelaide based, and there was just no one doing natural looking brows. So there's lots of people doing big blocky kind of brows, which I'm sure you've seen. But
mm.
there was no one doing natural brows. So I went and did my training in microblading, which is a slightly different technique, but still a very natural looking one. And that was a couple of years ago. I did my training in that, and I fell in love with it. I really enjoyed it. I was working a full time job at the time, but I had a few people start asking, and it was just friends and family. But then that progressed to people being like, you should do this as a thing. And I was like, well, why not actually? I love doing
Yeah.
it. And it was really amazing seeing the transformation you'd see in people when you give them back that confidence. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then since then there's been a lot of change within the industry in just different techniques. So now I've moved on to nano brows just purely because they look as natural as microblading, but with a lot less trauma to the skin. So yeah.
Wow. And it's so interesting, isn't it? I was just thinking, when you first start talking, if you introduced just someone as, cosmetic tattooing, I kind
Mm.
of feel like you'd immediately move to the kind of like beauty looks kind of feeling.
Mhm.
But as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, that's so true. There's such a, opportunity to help people who are going through a rough time and,
Yeah.
just want to feel normal and a little
That's
human.
exactly it. Yeah, yeah. And I actually wrestled with that for a really long time. It was one that I was almost like, oh, I don't know what mum and dad are gonna think, like just working in
Yeah.
and I was I was like, oh, it's just for vanity. But then I realized it's not. It's actually so
Mm.
much deeper than that. And when I had that realization, then I was just like threw myself in completely. So I was like, nope, this is what I feel like I'm kind of called to. I really enjoy it. And yeah, giving, I've had some women who they've come in and it's given them the confidence to apply for a new job or
Oh,
go out on
wow.
a date, those kind of things. So yeah,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, it's really wonderful. It's just that confidence boost, which you don't realize makes such a huge impact on somebody. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, right? Like, you know, there'll be times where you're like, I'm not showing up on Instagram stories today because I have a pimple. So it's like, can
literally,
you
literally,
imagine like the
yeah.
then the
Mhm.
scale to, you know, losing your
Yeah,
hair, losing your eyebrows? Like,
exactly.
oh my
Yeah,
God, that's
yeah,
huge.
and it's more common than you'd think, actually. So
Really?
yeah, there's so many different. There's your standards that you would immediately think of, like someone going through treatment,
Yeah.
for yeah, chemotherapy, those kinds of things. Alopecia, where they lose all of their hair, but
Mm.
even hormones. So a lot of women with thyroid conditions will lose like
Oh,
the outer third of their eyebrows. So
oh,
just
wow.
replacing that section, yeah.
Wow, it's incredible, isn't it? I'm like blown away. This is so good. So, what was the transition like when everyone was like, you should do this as a job, as a business? What was
Yeah,
that transition like for you when you went from working full time to business full time?
it was terrifying, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. I was so unsure, and I've got 3 children, so I was like, "Oh my goodness," like, my husband's so supportive, and he was just like, "Luce, you've gotta do it, like, this is
Yeah.
you're good at it, you love it, I've never seen you happier." So, he was really encouraging, but I was like, "What if we can't pay the mortgage? Like, what if there's all these
Yeah.
things?" So,
There's like real issues that you have
that's
to
exactly
grapple
it.
with.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I tossed and turned, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I started with just doing a couple of days, like slowly cutting back. So I went from working 5 days a week to cutting back to 3 days a week. And I was like, okay, well, can we fill up the other 2 days with clients? And that happened. And then once we got to regular booked out weeks, I was like, okay, like this is going well. But then of
Yes.
course I threw in the mix having a baby. So I was like, okay, we've got the third child. So
Nice.
I had to take a little bit of time off.
Hmm.
But then I decided, rather than going on maternity leave, then coming back, I'm just gonna pull a pin and jump back into my business full time. So I
Wow.
handed in my resignation when I went on my kind of mat leave.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it was terrifying, but I'm so glad I did it. Yeah, I had a really good job that I loved as well. But
Oh,
I'm so glad I'm here now, because it's just having my own business. I've got the flexibility now to be with my kids whenever I want. Like if we want to go on a family holiday, I don't have to rock up to somebody and say, hey, can I take 3 days off here, or put in for annual leave and have that, that uneasy feeling of what if they say no. So now
yeah.
it's just like, no, I'm my own boss. I get to set my own hours. And even though it's scary, it's so worth
That
it.
is so cool. What were you doing before? What was
So
your
I was
job before?
working. I've done a little bit of everything. So I was doing nursing, but the job I had just before I got into this, I
Yeah.
was actually working for Mecca. I don't know if you know the big makeup brand. So
Oh yeah,
I was,
that's like
yeah.
my heaven. Yeah.
So I was a skin specialist there, so doing facials and
Oh,
that type of
cool.
thing. So yeah, yeah. So and we had well, they still are beautiful, but yeah, had a beautiful team, and yeah, like a little family. But yeah,
Oh,
it was
it
a
was
necessary thing to step out.
well, it was just really interesting. I was curious as to when you said you had a job that you actually loved, because that's the
Yeah.
interesting thing, isn't it? Like some people have jobs they hate, so they want to start a
Yes.
business, or
Mhm.
they, don't feel like they can make change where they are, so they start a business, or,
Yeah.
they want that freedom and flexibility. But I love that, you actually had something that you loved, and it's just you found
Yeah.
something else that you loved. Like it's just,
I know,
what a
and that's what
decision.
made it even harder. I was like,
Yeah.
am I doing the right thing? But yeah, it has been, which I'm very glad.
Oh, that is so good. What have you found? Obviously you've, as you know, in this industry, you've got to book up appointments. That's how you make
Mhm.
money.
Yeah.
How have you gone, like actually making that happen? Have you found any strategies that have worked for you to grow the business to where you can do it successfully full time?
Yeah, a kind of a combination of things. So to start off with, I did a lot of like discounted rates, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But then I also found that you're gonna get the same client over and over again that's waiting for the sale. And I was like, it's not
Ah,
really
yes.
a sustainable business practice to
Yeah.
be running at costs rather. So
Mm.
but then the thing I found the most effective was actually showing up and creating that trust funnel. So
Mm.
showing up on Instagram, showing up in my emailing list, and showing them the real me. So rather than trying to be, the cosmetic industry is full of beautiful, stunning women that are flawless, and I'm not. I am.
I beg to differ, but anyway.
I've got tattoos, and I've got pigtails instead of perfect ringlets, and I don't have perfect flawless skin, but I found that that's what people liked. I was
Yeah.
just normal, and they felt more comfortable coming to someone who wasn't perfect. And so I found, that was a really good way of getting people in, was just showing up as me and showing them that my life is not perfect. And that really built that trust, because it is a big thing too, getting a tattoo on your face.
Yeah, that's
People really,
huge.
yeah. But as for the other side of things, I think showing people a very unfiltered showcase of what I do as well. So rather than heavily filtering photos, just kind of being like, this is your before and after. I'm not going to airbrush you. I'm not going to do all those things, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're kind of walking into a false setup. It's like that false advertising of, oh, you
Mm.
come out and there's no swelling, there's no redness, and they're like, why am I swollen? Why am I red? And you're like, oh, well, actually that happens to everyone, but a lot of online shows the heavily
The
edited version.
perfect, yeah, or the month
Exactly.
later, or
Yeah,
the
that's
yeah.
it. Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of went down the other route of going, no, I'm just going to show you exactly how it is. And that really worked. So yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it? I think we kind of went through a time where Instagram, especially, was very filtered,
Yes.
curated, picture
Mm-hmm.
perfect. The grid has to be perfect. And
Yes.
now I
Yes.
think you're totally right. Like, people just want to see someone they relate to.
Yeah. Yeah. They want to see that real, raw person.
Yeah, and I think it's,
Yeah.
we, especially now, right? Like, we get to the end of the year and we're so tired. And it's not that we don't love our businesses, but we need a little bit of a break. And
Yeah.
sometimes when
Definitely.
you see other people showing up with that, I'm still making $1 billion every second, and I
Yeah.
look like this, and the kids are perfect, and then and you're
Yeah.
kind of like, what's wrong with me?
I know. What am I doing wrong? Yes. No, definitely. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's also showing the reality that you're not going to be booked out every single week, and
Yeah.
that's the reality of starting a small business as well, that there are going to be hard weeks. So, and not blaming your clients for that, but just being like, well, what can I do? So there's definitely been weeks where I'll be like, oh my goodness, are we going to make it through? But
Yes.
for the most part we do. Yeah.
I love it. And you're right. Like, it's not perfect. It's not just like, a straight line to get to whatever the goal is. It is about that showing up authentically,
Yeah.
and helping people understand what it is that you do and the value that you
Yeah.
provide and how you're
Yeah.
different to other people. And
Definitely.
I love that you're doing that in a really authentic way as well.
Oh, thank you.
No, I love it. It's so good. So what about challenges? So, we talked about not having, not every day is a booked out day. So have there been other things in business that you've had to learn that were a bit of a challenge and potentially a lesson for anyone listening?
Where do I start? Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, okay, we need to open a bottle of wine here, people.
Yeah. How long have we got? 3 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, everything. I think when you go into it, you kind of think, oh, like it's a cosmetic tattooing business. And then you realize, hang on, wait, I also have to be a social media expert. I also have to be doing my own books. I've got to be an accountant. I've got to do all these things, because when you first start, you don't have the finances to be able to fund those things. So
Yeah.
like it's getting easier now that we've got more consistent weeks, and we can be like, well, we'll just jump into Zero or QuickBooks or something like that, and you can have it all done. So
Yes.
when that time comes, you're like, boom, 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 all done. But at the start, you're doing it all in Excel, and you're also learning like how to do it. So
Yes, totally.
I remember talking to my accountant the first week, and he was just like, "What's this profit margin?" And I was like, "What?" Like,
Oh no, that's your department.
I just send you my spreadsheet. And he's just like, "Oh, where's your bookkeeper?" I was like, "What? How did book?" So it's yeah, there was a lot of things like that where I was like, "Oh, okay, like there's a lot to learn here." So yeah, I think the challenges would be you don't realize how much goes into a business and how many different masks you've got to wear. And I don't know, it's that funny thing of you quit that 9 to 5 for the freedom and then realize you're working 10 times more, but you still
Isn't
love
it hilarious?
it.
Isn't it hilarious? Like how much
Yeah.
you think, oh my God, I'm gonna make my own schedule. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
get a facial at
Oh,
lunch. And
yeah,
then it's
that's
like,
it.
I know I
And it's
even so
like,
I
hang on, I've got to do a million different things. And I'm sitting on the couch at night with my husband, just like, I've just got to reply to this client and I've got to make sure my things are updated for tomorrow and prep this for next week. And yeah,
it's insane. No, even today, like, so I had a facial today. I was like, I'm going to
yeah,
do that, like a nice little thing. So I go away on
beautiful.
holidays
Yeah,
feeling fabulous.
yeah,
And even like running there, I was like, should I cancel it? I've got so much to do. Like, I got this emergency email from a client this morning, and I was like,
yeah.
oh my God, it doesn't end.
I know. Oh, that's actually like one of the biggest challenges I think I've had is putting my boundaries in on myself.
Mm,
Being
yes.
like, I actually need to set hours because I'm sure
Yeah.
you can like you'd be the same where you're just like, oh, I'm replying to an email and it's 11:30 at night, and then as soon as you wake up, you're like 6 a.m. All right, here we go again. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, wow, I really need to. So that's something I've been working on this year, as being like, no, I've got my business hours. I'm only going to reply to business emails between 9 and 5, and actually sticking to that. So,
That's so good. And have you found like, I mean, obviously setting yourself some hours has been helpful, but have you found any like strategies for setting boundaries or anything like that that's helped you this year?
I think mainly having someone hold me accountable. So my poor husband,
Yes.
I'm just like, you have to pull me up on this because
Yeah.
I I genuinely love what I do. So I will go into that like hyper focus and 6 hours later be like, oh, that was a 20-minute task that I've just spent. Like, just need to quickly update something on my website. And yeah, I'm like, now I've got a whole new
Famous
color
last
scheme. And
words.
yeah. And he's like, what happened to the 20-minute task? So now I'm
Mm,
like, okay, you need to hold me accountable. I'm setting a timer. You need to come get me and be like, shut the laptop, it's done. So
yeah.
yeah, having someone hold me accountable has been huge.
I do love that. And it's nice when you have a supportive partner that can be
Yeah,
that person for you. And I
yeah,
mean, I know there's so many different ways that you can bring that into your life.
definitely. Yeah.
Like my partner literally did that for me last night. He's like, okay, we're closing the laptop now.
Yep.
But even like so random, I do kinesiology online
Yes,
with this
amazing.
beautiful, beautiful woman, Yasmin. And I don't even know how it happened, but like I was talking about this product that I wanted to launch before the end of the year. And she's like,
Mm,
okay, that's it. I'm going to be your accountability person. Rah, rah,
I
rah.
love it.
And just having somebody that next Wednesday at my appointment, I had to
Yeah,
have my thing done. I was like,
yes,
I'd been dragging it out like all year. And I
yeah.
was like, just having somebody that I had to check in with was so
So
powerful.
yeah. And kind of then you're held accountable because they're like,
Yeah.
excuse me, Danielle, have you done the thing? Like, and you're like, okay, I've done the thing. And if you haven't, you're like, I better do the thing. So
Oh my God. And it's so true. And I think sometimes as, small business owners, we sit at home in our home office and
mhm,
we're just like, oh, I want to do this thing to it. I want to do that to it. It's not quite done. It's not quite
yes,
perfect.
yeah,
And it's like, oh my God, sometimes you've just got to have someone crack the whip a little bit and be
yeah.
like, just get it out there.
That's it. And it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think
Mm.
sometimes also we think that literally everyone in the world is going to see it. Like,
Yes.
oh my goodness, if I launch my website, someone's going to see that I've got a typo on page 3 and like 3 people look at it and one's probably your mum. Like, it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's like, it's
Beyonce is not Googling you. She won't see it.
exactly, exactly. And it's okay as long as you've got it up there. Like,
Yeah.
consistency is better than perfection.
It's so true. And I even like even I think about all of the iterations I've had of something like website or
Mhm.
branding or
Yeah,
socials. Every year I'm like, I just want to revamp a little bit,
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like even if you got it to the point where it's perfect in your mind, in
Yeah.
12 months you'd be over it.
That's
Or
exactly it. Yep,
there'd be new
100%.
technology, there'd be new this, there'd be another social network we need to be on.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, yeah. TikTok will be gone and there'll be a new one. Like,
Don't say that. I don't want to hear that.
oh no, please no. I can't even
Please no.
understand
Please no.
TikTok. So,
I know I can't get behind. I'm trying so hard to get behind TikTok, but I just can't.
oh, I'm
God,
such an Instagram girl, and I'm just like,
same.
oh man, I'm lost on TikTok.
Yeah, I know. I just feel like I'm too old. I just
I'm the same.
miss
Yeah.
the, yeah.
There needs to be like an age gap, you know, when they make sure you're over 18 and old. Maybe it should be like under 30, and then you can use
Yes.
TikTok. And I'm just like, I'm safe. I'm over 30. I'm good.
Oh my God. Can we please have this happen? This is the best idea I've ever heard. It's so true though. It's like I do feel like it's like another language, you know.
Oh yeah.
I
Hmm.
love this. Like I talk to people, I show up on video, all that kind of stuff, but I just find it's like this whole other language of video that I don't quite have nailed yet.
I'm exactly the same, and I just haven't. I mean, given I haven't taken the time to learn it either, but
Fair, same. Yes.
but I'm just
Yes.
like, oh.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like one extra thing on the to-do list.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read
It's
like
enough.
a
It is enough.
I know. Well, I read this 24 marketing trends for 2024
Yeah.
earlier this week, and it was like TikTok and LinkedIn are going to be like the top
Oh,
two. And I was
oh.
like, damn it, I
I better
can't
do
get
some
out of it.
learning.
Yeah. Oh my God, what are we going to do?
I
Oh, so
know.
funny. Oh, I love it so much. We could talk all day, I'm sure.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. Yeah.
so I always love to leave our podcasts with just one piece of advice that we could give to women in business. So reflecting on your time in
Yeah.
business, what would be one piece of advice that you would give another woman on her journey in business?
I would say, oh, picking out one would be hard. But I think the biggest one would be you are the special sauce in your business.
Yes.
No one else is you. You are the best you, and people will come to your business because of you. So don't try to mimic someone else. Don't try to, be XYZ. There's no point in copying someone because people want to see you, and they're going to come to your business for you. So yeah, I think just being authentically you and knowing that you are the reason that people love your business is so important, because once you can embrace that, it'll change the way you look at business.
Oh my God, I love that so much. You are the special sauce. You are the special sauce, people. This is so good. No, it's so, so true. I think you're so right. Like there's so many, you look around at your competition and you think, oh my God, how like we're all doing the same thing. Or
Yes, and it
absolutely
can be
not.
overwhelming. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it. And you think, oh my goodness, it's a flooded market, but no one does business like you do. So don't
Yes.
worry, it's okay.
Oh, I love that so much. You are the best, Lucy. Thank you so much for spending your time
Thank you
on the
for having
podcast
me.
today. It was amazing to chat to you and hear more about your journey. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much.